We rarely speak honestly about what happens behind closed doors, not because the subject is trivial, but because it is sacred, fragile, and deeply tied to who we believe ourselves to be. In intimacy, people don't just bring their bodies, they bring their histories, their fears, their unspoken hopes, and their longing to be fully alive in the presence of another. Many women carry desires they don't easily name, not because they are forbidden, but because they are vulnerable. These desires are not about acrobatics or performance. They are about being felt, not rushed. About being desired, not just touched. About knowing that in that private space, there is curiosity instead of pressure, attunement instead of assumption. What women often dream of in bed has less to do with what is done and more to do with how it feels to be met there emotionally, psychologically, and sensually. When intimacy becomes a conversation rather than a script, something profound happens. Desire wakes up, trust deepens, and connection transforms from routine into revelation. Tonight's exploration is not about secrets meant to shock, but truths meant to liberate, because the most powerful intimacy begins when we finally listen to what is rarely said out loud. Desire does not bloom in an atmosphere of tension, evaluation, or fear of getting it wrong. It awakens where a woman feels emotionally safe enough to let go of vigilance and step into her own sensuality. Emotional safety is the quiet foundation beneath erotic connection, yet it is often misunderstood or ignored because it cannot be performed or faked. It is created in the way a man listens without correcting, touches without demanding, and stays present without trying to control the outcome. When a woman feels she must manage a partner's ego, mood, or expectations, her body tightens even if her mind wants intimacy. But when she feels free from judgment, free from comparison, and free from pressure to respond a certain way, her body softens and desire has room to breathe. Safety is knowing that her no will be respected without punishment and her yes will be cherished without entitlement. It is knowing she can be awkward, slow, curious, or unsure and still be desired. In that space, intimacy becomes an exploration rather than a performance. Emotional safety is also built long before the bedroom, in consistency, reliability, and emotional attunement. When words align with actions, trust grows quietly. When curiosity replaces assumption, connection deepens. A woman's desire often lives in the space between feeling chosen and feeling understood. She wants to know that her pleasure matters not as a task to complete but as an experience to share. When a partner remains emotionally present, not distracted, not rushing ahead, not disappearing after climax, intimacy becomes something that lingers rather than something that ends. Safety allows fantasy to surface because fantasy requires freedom from shame. It allows vulnerability because vulnerability requires confidence that it will not be used as a weapon later. In emotionally safe intimacy, a woman does not have to guard her heart while opening her body. She can surrender because she trusts the space will hold her. This is why technique alone never sustains desire. Without safety, touch feels empty. With safety, even the smallest gesture can feel electric. Desire thrives where there is patience, reassurance, and genuine interest in her inner world, where intimacy feels like a shared language rather than a test she must pass in a world obsessed with doing more. Lasting intimacy is often created by doing less and feeling more. Presence is the ability to stay fully engaged with the moment, not rushing ahead to an outcome, not mentally checking out, and not treating intimacy as a sequence of steps to complete. Many women crave this kind of attention far more than any specific technique because it tells them they matter beyond performance. When a partner is truly present, his focus is not split between expectation and evaluation. He is not watching himself from the outside or trying to impress. He is listening with his hands, responding with his breath, and allowing the experience to unfold organically. This kind of attention creates a sense of being chosen in real time, again and again. Presence is felt in the pauses, in the way touch adapts rather than repeats, and in the sensitivity to subtle shifts in her body and energy. It communicates care without words. Attention that is grounded and unhurried allows a woman to stay connected to her own sensations instead of monitoring how she is being perceived. When she feels watched rather than witnessed, desire fades. But when she feels sensed, followed, and met where she is, her pleasure deepens naturally. True presence also means staying emotionally available throughout the experience, not only at the beginning or until a goal is reached. Many women quietly long for a partner who does not disappear once satisfaction is achieved, but who remains engaged, affectionate, and open afterward. This continuity reinforces trust and makes intimacy feel whole rather than transactional. Attention is seductive because it signals value. To be the center of someone's awareness, even for a brief time, is profoundly erotic. It allows intimacy to slow down and expand, turning ordinary moments into charged ones. When presence replaces pressure, a woman does not feel the need to perform desire. She can discover it. This is why attention outlives novelty. Techniques may be forgotten, but the memory of being fully seen lingers. Presence invites her into her body, into the moment, and into connection. It transforms intimacy from an act into an encounter, where pleasure arises not from what is done, but from how deeply both people are there together. Desire rarely lives in what is obvious or fully revealed. It thrives in the space of anticipation, in what is suggested rather than explained, and in the freedom to imagine rather than to know everything in advance. Mystery is not about distance or withholding affection, but about allowing room for curiosity and inner movement. Many women experience desire as something that begins in the mind long before it reaches the body, and imagination is the bridge between the two. When intimacy becomes predictable, even if it is loving, desire can slowly fall asleep. Not because connection is lacking, but because there is nothing left to wonder about. Mystery keeps Eros alive by inviting surprise, nuance, and the feeling that there is still more to discover. This might show up in subtle changes of rhythm, in unspoken tension, or in moments where nothing is rushed to resolution. Imagination is awakened when a partner does not explain everything, when silence is allowed to stretch, and when desire is not immediately gratified. These spaces give her mind permission to wander, to anticipate, and to create meaning. A woman often longs for intimacy that seduces her imagination as much as her body, where she can feel the thrill of not fully knowing what comes next. Mystery also protects desire from becoming duty. When everything is mapped out, intimacy can start to feel like a routine to fulfill rather than an experience to enter. Imagination restores playfulness and depth, allowing intimacy to remain alive even in long-term connection. It gives permission to fantasize without shame and to bring those inner worlds gently into shared experience. Importantly, mystery does not mean emotional unavailability. It exists within safety and trust, not instead of them. It is the difference between being reliable and being predictable. When a woman senses that her partner is emotionally grounded yet still surprising, desire stays engaged. Imagination allows her to experience herself differently, to step into parts of her identity that daily life may not invite. In this way, intimacy becomes a place of renewal rather than repetition. Desire is sustained not by constant intensity, but by the promise that something new can emerge even within familiarity. Mystery keeps the door open for longing, and longing is what gives desire its pulse and its power. Intimacy is often shaped by the quiet dance between power and vulnerability, a dynamic that many women feel deeply but rarely articulate. Power in this context is not about dominance or control, but about the confidence to lead, to stay grounded, and to hold emotional and physical space without hesitation. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is the willingness to be seen, to express desire, uncertainty, or longing without armor. What many women secretly crave is the interplay of both, where strength creates safety and vulnerability creates connection. When a partner can remain emotionally steady while inviting her to soften, trust naturally deepens. This balance allows her to let go of constant self-protection and step into surrender, not because she is overpowered, but because she feels held. Trust grows when actions are consistent, when boundaries are honored, and when intensity is matched with care. A woman's body responds to the feeling that someone is fully present and capable of navigating closeness without retreating or overwhelming. In such moments, vulnerability does not feel risky, it feels freeing. The permission to express desire, to be unsure, or to want more without fear of judgment or rejection is profoundly erotic. Power expressed with sensitivity signals reliability, while vulnerability expressed with honesty signals authenticity. Together, they create a dynamic where intimacy feels alive and charged rather than fragile. Many women long for a partner who can lead without ego and yield without losing himself, someone who understands that trust is built in moments of restraint as much as in moments of intensity. When power is paired with respect, it allows desire to expand rather than contract. When vulnerability is met with attunement instead of dismissal, it strengthens connection rather than exposing weakness. This dynamic also allows intimacy to feel playful and deep at the same time, where exploration happens within clear emotional boundaries. In this space, a woman can relax into her own desire, knowing it will be met, not managed. She can experience passion without losing her sense of self. Trust transforms intimacy into a shared experience rather than a negotiation. It is in this balance that many women feel most alive, because they are neither performing strength nor defending vulnerability, but simply inhabiting the full spectrum of who they are in connection. At the core of many unspoken longings is the desire to be seen and chosen, not abstractly, but specifically and repeatedly. To be seen means more than being looked at or admired. It means being recognized in one's emotional reality, moods, contradictions, and evolving needs. Many women carry the quiet ache of feeling desired for a role they play rather than for who they are when no performance is required. In intimacy, this distinction becomes especially powerful. When a woman feels truly seen, she does not have to exaggerate her reactions or mute her truth. Her pleasure is not something she offers to be accepted, but something that emerges because she feels met. Being chosen is not a one-time declaration. It is an ongoing experience communicated through attention, consistency, and presence. It is felt in the way a partner reaches for her not out of habit, but out of genuine wanting. This kind of choosing reassures her that she is not interchangeable, not merely convenient, and not taken for granted. Desire deepens when she senses that her partner wants her, not just intimacy itself. Being seen also means having her inner world taken seriously. Her emotions are not minimized, her boundaries are not negotiated away, and her pleasure is not secondary. When a woman feels that her responses matter, she relaxes into authenticity. She does not need to compete with past lovers, imagined ideals, or cultural expectations. She can inhabit her body as it is, in that moment, without self-surveillance. This creates a profound sense of intimacy because it touches identity, not just sensation. To be chosen is to feel prioritized even in subtle ways, in follow-up, in care, in how a partner remains emotionally engaged after closeness. Many women long for the feeling that intimacy does not end when touch ends, that connection carries through words, gestures, and memory. This continuity makes desire feel safe to return. When a woman feels seen and chosen, her body responds with openness rather than caution. She does not need to protect herself from disappointment or disappearance. Instead, she can offer her desire freely. This is why validation alone is not enough. Compliments without attunement feel hollow. What nourishes desire is the sense that someone is genuinely curious about her experience and invested in her presence. In that space, intimacy becomes affirming rather than draining. She is not proving her worth through desirability. She is receiving it through connection, and that quiet certainty allows her desire to unfold naturally and deeply.